What's going on, GBA universe? This is TheUziGunner here bringing you people the very next episode of Trainer Cards, where I look at and present the records of each coaches in league format in the most accurate way possible. As far as today's episode goes, we're going to be taking a look at the biggest breakout star and my personal #1 favorite to win the whole thing, Jolt of TheTokenMinorities. So with that being said, enough of me rambling on, let's get this show on the road! Jolt is a man that started competing in league format from the second season of the NPL. After his first season, he became the official commissioner of that said league and competed there for 5 straight seasons after, which is pretty damn cool. Other than that said league, he's competed in the season 5 of the PPL, the GBA's own D League of course, as well as subbing in once in the MPL. Do be informed though that for the final league that I mentioned, I won't be considering the wins and losses since he was never meant to be competing there in the first place, along with the fact that he used a team that didn't necessarily suit his style. With that being said, of course, he's managed to earn a total of 56 wins and 31 losses prior to this season of the GBA, giving him a pretty decent winning percentage of 63.5. Of course, it should also be mentioned that his percentage in no way should define people's opinion of him, as he did manage to reach playoffs a total of 5 times and reach the finals once in his career, which is definitely admirable. I would say that he definitely is the most experienced among the bunch of coaches in this season, both in regards to the season count and especially the level of competition he's faced, so there's that. Now regarding the type of teams that Jolt has used, these two more or less define what kind of player he really is. Jolt is a fan of fast bulky offense, or even a draft that in his words enable him to have a free reign in the type of teams that he can build for his opponents each week. The first team you see before you was used in the season 4 of the NPL, while the next one, as you may already know, was used in the recent GBA D League season. It's definitely not the type of draft which would force the player to run the same set on one of his mons every single week, which definitely says a lot about his quality as a builder. Setup sweepers, priority, volt turn, reliable bulky Pokemon, you name it. It's definitely something that any kind of coach would love to have for any season really. In his very elaborate draft career, Jolt on many occasions managed to make full use of his assets. But if there is an asset that quite figuratively carried his team on its back for many seasons, it'd have to be none other than Clefable. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Clefable's always been an S-class tier Pokemon prior to the release of Sun and Moon. It's essentially been Jolt's top killer for each of the seasons he drafted this, and the record of 36 kills and 15 deaths kinda does speak for itself. The reason why he was so successful with it was because he always brought teams that complement Clefable very well, so that once the premier threats are out of the way, this fat pink piece of shit can do what it does best. And trust me when I tell you, Jolt runs some very nasty sets with it. From the standard type of Calm Mind sets to Calm Mind Cosmic Power, Stored Power, and so much more. With that being said, that's not the only way Jolt managed to use this thing, as on other occasions, he did use a Wall Breaker set with the Life Orb, as well as have it play the role of a Great Wish Passer and a Mon to stop setup sweepers from doing its thing, thereby in other words, becoming the backbone of Jolt's teams and other people's reason to quit playing draft format. The craziest set which he brought, however, would have to be this. Yeah. This pretty much makes Jolt an
absolute mad lad. I can't keep up with this.
But anyways, now for the final bit of the video, let's talk about Jolt as a battler. I'll say this here and now, he is undoubtedly the best builder in this competition at the moment. The amount of detail that goes into each of his plans, as well as his team structures, is something that to this date still leaves me in awe. Not only that, but his playing ability as well completely complements it perfectly, which makes him an even bigger threat. Furthermore, if you end up facing Jolt and have a team which is under the lines of a standard sorts of prep, chances are he is already fully aware of it and has a perfect plan to stop it dead in its tracks. The sets he uses are also far from predictable as well, along with how he makes his plays, which combined with all these factors make him a force to be reckoned with. With that being said though, things haven't necessarily always looked up for the coach of the Kansas City Girachiefs. Despite him having a phenomenal first 3 seasons in the NPL and reaching finals in the season 4, things sort of started going downhill from there. Due to drastic improvement competition-wise in the NPL after season 4, he has not managed to be as dominant as before, but rather a guy that barely managed to make playoffs and in his final season prior to the D-League went 4-6, which is pretty crazy. His PPL run was more or less kinda similar in the sense that he did end up with a 6-5 record. The usual cause of Jolt's losses, other than RNG of course, would have to be mainly due to when his opponents not having the rather standard type of builds in their teams when facing him, which usually catches him off guard and gives him a rather tough time to recover, which followed by his opponents capitalizing on it usually leads to his own undoing. Other than that of course, it's when his opponents know how Jolt thinks as a draft player and uses his style of prep against him, which is not necessarily a common scenario. With that being said, I'm looking forward to seeing if the GBA coaches finally do find a way to adapt to his style, because the way things are going, Jolt is very close towards staying undefeated and winning his first title. Unless he hits 2 bullet seeds, of course. So with that being said, that's the end of the 4th episode of Trainer Cards. I hope you all managed to find pure entertainment out of it, and if you did, feel free to drop a like on this video and wish Jolt a very happy birthday in the comment section down below. I'm your host TheUziGunner, and I'll see you all next week. Peace!